In this video, I'm going to talk you through the 3 levels of building muscle at the gym, the 3 levels of lifting, going all the way from noob, absolute beginner, like the beginner basic stuff you need to do if you don't currently work out or haven't ever worked out before at the gym, then to intermediate, which is probably where I'm at, or maybe just after about 3 years of training, and then to sort of the more advanced lifting techniques, the advanced science behind it, and kind of what the more advanced lifters do. Hopefully you can get some value out of this video. Stick around throughout this video because there's going to be loads of tips and stuff that I've learned over the years and stuff that I've learned from my own experience and from watching other YouTubers, listening to podcasts, reading into the studies, and obviously just sticking around helps the channel out. I'm a small channel, so if you can stick around and find some of this advice useful, then helps me out a lot as well. Right, I'll get straight into it, mate. Okay, so the 3 levels of building muscle. I'm gonna start off going through the absolute beginner levels, right? This is what you could call the noob levels or your newbie gains. A lot of people talk about getting the newbie gains. So this is complete beginner level stuff. So the first thing that is going to help a lot of people who are just starting out at the gym is first thinking about what training split are you going to go with. So a training split is basically just what muscle groups you're going to train on what days and when you're going to do your rest days. And the best piece of advice I can give you for this that really helped me get a lot of my newbie gains at the start of my journey was just doing a very simple push, pull, legs. So what this just stands for is push, pull, legs. Okay, so your push day is going to be chest, tris, and shoulders. So that's your chest, your triceps, which is the back of your arms, and your shoulders. And pull is going to be your back, biceps, your traps, which is these bits here, right next to your neck. It's kind of just part of the back really, but there's a bit of different exercises that you can do for them. And then I actually like to put rear delts in the pull day as well. A lot of people put rear delts in push, but I like to put it in the pull day because I feel like it is more of a pulling muscle really. It's very close to your rhomboids and stuff. Rear delts is the back of the shoulder, and I'll go through some very simple exercises that you can do for all of these different muscle groups. And your leg session is going to be your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, and your glutes. So legs is by far the worst day out of these 3. So this is what you're gonna do as a beginner. You're gonna do push, pull, legs. So what this might look like is something like Monday, you might do push, and on Tuesday, you might do pull, and then Wednesday, you might do legs, or you could do a rest day on Wednesday and then do legs on the Thursday potentially. But what I would say as kind of a rule of thumb is if you've trained for 3 days straight, then definitely take a rest day. I wouldn't want to be training more than 3 days in a row. If I trained for 4 days, I would be not performing very well on the 4th day. I would be pretty exhausted after this. So what I would probably say as a beginner is do push on Monday, pull on Tuesday, and then rest Wednesday, legs on Thursday, and then go back to doing push, and then on Friday, and then maybe a rest on Saturday, and then pull on Sunday. And then you can kind of it's not going to be perfectly throughout the week, in line, Monday's the same every Monday or Tuesday's the same every Monday. It's gonna overlap. So you're just gonna have to keep a little calendar on your phone on when you've got certain sessions, but I'm sure you'll remember. But yeah, this is basically the split I would do as a beginner. Make workouts 30 to 45 minutes. I think as a beginner, doing anything more than 45 minutes might not really be necessary, an hour max, but at least 30 minutes. When I was a beginner first working out, I literally trained for 15 minutes and I still managed to build a decent amount of muscle as a newbie gains and stuff. So I won't worry too much about this. It's only really when we get to the later levels that it actually becomes more important how long you work out for. In terms of rep ranges, you're going to focus on roughly this as a rule of thumb, about 8 to 12 reps per set. So what I would aim for each of the muscles for the for chest, for example, I would aim to do at least 3 sets a workout, and then 3 sets of triceps, and then 3 sets of shoulders. And I don't think you need to do much more than that. I think as a beginner, that's pretty excessive. I used to literally just stick to that rule of just doing 3 sets, and in those 3 sets, I would do 8 to 12 reps in each set. And I think as a beginner, this is a pretty good starting point. You don't have to worry about much else. Just do this as a beginner, right? Push, pull, legs, aim for 3 sets, make it 30 to 45 minutes, and aim for 8 to 12 reps. If you can get more reps, if you do 12 reps and it's super easy and you're not tired at all, then you can probably lift a little bit heavier. If you can't get 8 reps, this is something my gym teacher literally told me when I first ever started working out when I was literally 15. This was like the rule, right? If you can't do 8 reps, then it's too heavy. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the intermediate level. This is like level 2, okay? So this is where things start to get a bit more advanced. You've like built quite a lot of your newbie gains, and this is where you wanna take your training to that next level. So you might be at the noob stage where you're kind of doing something similar to this, or you might be in this transitionary period over to the intermediate stage. So in terms of a split then, I would probably still recommend sticking to the push-pull legs, or you can like customize the push-pull legs a little bit. Like I'm probably like just maybe at this stage now, or towards the end of the intermediate stage, and I was for a long time doing legs push pull because I realized that actually legs is so difficult that I would rather get it done and out of the way with at the start of like my 3 workout sessions in that week, and then have it over and done with, and then do push and then do pull. So I would do legs first. So you can take that as like a bit of advice if you kind of want to put legs in the beginning just to make it like get it out of the way with, so it's not like lingering over your head in the week. But recently, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, in my training recently, I have been doing something more similar to this, which is a custom kind of split, which is push, and then it's pull, and then it's shoulders. And I don't do shoulders in the push session, I do them afterwards separately because I really want to focus on my shoulders, and I kind of just do them completely separately. So you might be thinking, well, where's legs? Well, mate, legs are over here. They're literally here, and they're not being done currently. So for the past couple months, not a couple months, past like 5 weeks, I've not been training legs, and I'm not proud of it, mate. I'm not proud of it, but I'm on a cut. If you've been following this channel, you know that I've been on a cut. I've been losing weight, losing body fat, and you know what? This fucking session is really difficult to do when you're losing weight. I'll do it again. I will start doing it again. Don't worry. But yeah, currently it's not being done. But yeah, at this stage, you can kind of start to customize the split a little bit. You're going to be a bit more familiar with like what works for you, what feels good and stuff. So feel free to kind of customize stuff as long as you're hitting like each muscle group at least twice a week. As a rule of thumb, twice per week per muscle. So that's just a nice rule of thumb that you can just stick to, I'd say. Any less than twice a week is gonna be, like if you hit chest once a week, it's like, probably not good. So do twice a week. You probably don't need to do it 3 times a week. So as long as you stick to this rule, I guess you'll be fine. And at the intermediate stage, the most important thing that we need to focus on by far at this level, once we've kind of got a lot of the newbie gains, is we need to really focus on something called progressive overload. So what progressive overload is it's basically where we actually actively place a higher demand on our muscles each workout than the last workout. And the reason we do this is because when we basically place a demand on our muscles of weight and reps and things like that at the gym, we're like stimulating our muscles to grow. Our muscles will, slowly, gradually grow up to meet that demand. So currently, like this is the capability here, and then this is like the demand that we're placing on the muscle, and the muscle is going to grow to meet that demand. But once our muscle has got to this point, right, the new kind of benchmark capability of the muscle, like it'll just stay there. So your workouts will plateau, right? So you're kind of like, this is like the newbie stage, right, that we just talked about. That's the newbie stage. And then this is like the intermediate stage where like, okay, you muscle gain has kind of just started to level off. So we need to actually use something called progressive overload to make sure that the muscle is forced to continually grow past this point. So I use an app called Strong to do this. It's not free, and I'm not like endorsed by them or anything. It's just what I use. But you can just use like Apple Notes or something. You just type in like, okay, push day into your notes, and then like the exercise, and then like what weight you used and what reps you did. And then when you go to do your next push session, like 3 or 4 days afterwards, you can check back on your notes on your phone, and then you can just say, okay, I did 20 kilogram dumbbells on the bench press for 10 reps, and this session I'm going to do one of 2 things. There's 2 ways to progressive overload. You can either increase the reps, so you could go for maybe 12 reps on the dumbbells, or you can increase the weight and go for maybe 22 kg dumbbells or 25 kg dumbbells, something like that. And now that we're in the intermediate stage, I'd say we can probably safely say that 45 minutes to an hour, I'd say, to about an hour long, is going to be an ideal kind of workout time for you. Anything less than 45 minutes isn't going to really be enough at this point, because remember, you've built all your newbie gains. Like there's like, your muscles pretty strong. You're pretty strong at this point, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of push the body a little bit harder to actually kind of build muscle. And another tip we're going to do is we're going to start focusing a lot more on our protein intake. So in terms of protein, you're going to look at eating at least 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So you want to eat about 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. I weigh about 75 kg, which means I need to eat about 150 grams a day, minimum, of protein. So yeah, about 150 grams a day for me, but for you, it could be slightly less. Just take your body weight in kg and times it by 2, pretty easy. And obviously, yeah, chicken, fish, beef, eggs, meat, protein. And the last thing that's gonna make this kind of more intermediate is you're gonna mix in 2 types of training. So what I like to do is mix in something called strength training, and I mix that in with something called metabolic training. So metabolic versus strength training. Strength training is aiming for around 5 to maybe 8 reps max with heavy weight, right? Heavy weight for 5 to 8 reps. And I'll maybe do 1 week where I'm focusing more on heavier weight like that. Like last week, that's what I did. So on my dumbbell bench press this week, I've been aiming to lift up about 37.5 kg dumbbells in each hand, which is really heavy for me. And that's on the incline bench press. And I can get about 5 reps with that. So that's quite strength training where you kind of exert yourself a lot more, but you don't get that pump in the muscle. So that's the first kind of training we're gonna do. So what's metabolic training? So metabolic training is much higher rep range with very light weight, okay? So you can aim for literally like 15 to 30 reps. And this is like good for like biceps, it's good for back, it's good for pull days. You'll notice that a lot of like metabolic training where you just go for the burn is really good for back. And I've noticed that heavier training for like chest and triceps, that's good for like, yeah, push, you know, for the kind of more strength training. So what you're gonna do at the intermediate level is you're gonna like 1 week you're gonna focus more on strength training, and then 1 week you're gonna focus more on metabolic. Metabolic's just like chasing the burn, chasing the pump, and then strength training is more like, okay, we're gonna do heavy weight, we're gonna really try and push ourselves, but just aim for like lower reps. And what this is gonna do is just gonna initiate different muscle fibers. So, you know, I can't really remember the exact amount, but strength training basically stimulates a different kind of muscle fiber, and then metabolic training kind of tears the muscle in a different way where it's more like blood vessels that actually impact the muscle and getting your muscles full of blood. And yeah, the 2 training methods are just good to incorporate both. Okay, now we move on to the advanced training, and this is where like I'm not really at the advanced training level yet, but I'm gonna give you some advice from stuff I've heard from like bodybuilders on podcasts and things, and a lot of the YouTube videos I've watched, and on some more of like the advanced training techniques. So now we can probably afford to go to the gym actually a little bit more like 4 to 6 times per week, like going pretty much every day, like maybe having 1 rest day or 2 at max, but we can afford to go to the gym a lot more. We can probably afford to train for actually minimum an hour to about an hour and a half at the gym. And we're gonna focus on training to failure, because at this kind of level, it really doesn't matter too much about reps anymore. It's more like just training until your muscles can't really move anymore. And this is actually an advanced training technique. I didn't think it was advanced, but a lot of the YouTube videos I watched and people I've heard online actually say this is quite an advanced training technique, training to failure. And do you know what? I actually train to failure all the time. Like at my gym sessions, I always train to failure. So this is actually a good piece of advice I'll give you. I've seen good like results from training to failure. And this is where you just train to the point where your muscles can't actually physically move the weight anymore. And one way to make sure that you're training to failure is by incorporating something called a drop set. The drop sets are where you use a weight, maybe you're using like 20 kg or something, and you use it until you can't lift up the weight anymore. And then you like basically stop the set once you can't move the weight anymore. You cut down and you maybe go to about 1/3 or about 2/3 or about 3/4 of the weight. So you maybe go from 20 to like 15 kg and then carry on going. And then when you can't do that anymore, then you're done. Or you can do a triple drop set where you even go down from that to like 10, and you just keep going down and you keep repping it out. And like literally once you've done like gone to failure on this and then gone to failure on this and then gone to failure on this, you like by this point you'll only be able to get like 2-3 reps. This is another kind of technique that I incorporate, and you know, this gets like a ridiculous pump. This is more like the metabolic training, and yeah, this is also an advanced training technique. Next thing I want to teach you about is something called a mechanical drop set, and this is where you physically alter the position that you're in, that your body's in on the exercise, to actually make the exercise easier when you reach failure. So a good like thing for this is the the incline dumbbell curls. So this is the incline dumbbell curls, and this is like something where you could do mechanical drop sets. So you literally get to failure when you're in this position on the seat, and then when you literally like can't do it anymore, you would just lean forward and then continue to do the reps. And then when you can't do them anymore, you would lean really far forward and do a few more reps. And that is literally how you can like go past like beyond failure. And that's just another way to like literally stimulate so much muscle growth. It's quite an advanced technique, and it burns and it's uncomfortable and it's awful. And I've done it before. I don't do it all the time, but I do it quite a bit. And there's a ton of other exercises that you can do mechanical drop sets for. Also at this level, I think like creatine is going to be pretty essential really, to like at this kind of level of training to recover, to feel good whilst you're training. So definitely just take that. You can actually do this at the intermediate level as well. I just didn't include it. Don't know if it's necessary at the newbie level. And then obviously like whey protein. I mean, at the advanced level, you're probably going to be pretty big. Like you're probably going to need a lot of protein, and it's going to be pretty inconvenient to have to eat like 200 grams or 250 grams a day of protein. You know, if you weigh like 110 kg, it's going to be hard to eat that much protein. So eating something like whey protein in between meals, just having that to help get the protein in. At this kind of level, at the advanced level, we're going to be focusing massively on the stretch. So there's a certain point like past the newbie gains and the intermediate level where you're really not going to grow too much muscle unless you really focus on your stretch. So a lot of muscles only really grow in what's called the eccentric portion of the motion. So when you do a like bicep curl, when you lift the weight up, that's called the concentric phase. And basically that is going to help you grow muscle, but actually the lowering part, that's where most of the actual hypertrophy happens. Hypertrophy is muscle growth. And when you lower the weight, that part where the muscle's kind of being stretched, that is where the actual growth happens. So when you are at the advanced level, you're gonna focus a lot more on the stretch, on what's called the eccentric movement, right? Eccentric. And lastly, with the advanced sort of level of training, you're gonna wanna hyper optimize your testosterone, because testosterone is gonna start to become a huge factor on whether you can actually even build any more muscle, because by this point, you're gonna be pretty close to your genetic ceiling of how much muscle you can actually build. So you're gonna wanna like hyper optimize your testosterone. So this is gonna happen through eating foods that are high in testosterone. It's gonna happen from eating foods that don't lower your testosterone, like avoiding phytoestrogenic foods like soybeans and stuff, right? And lots of fruit and veg, like unfortunately has phytoestrogens in it. Not drinking fucking tap water. It's morning sunlight. It's, you know, getting outside into nature. It's making sure your sleep's on point, right? At this level of training, a lot of the stuff actually doesn't really happen in the gym anymore. A lot of it starts to happen in your actual lifestyle in general. I mean, at this level of training, your whole life is going to be revolved around the gym pretty much. So everything in your life is going to be kind of tailored towards just building as much muscle as possible. So I'd say for me, I'm like in between the intermediate stage and the advanced stage. I've done a lot of the, I do actually do a lot of these kind of advanced lifting techniques, but I'm not like an advanced lifter at all. I've only been training consistently for like 3 years, but I've sort of been trying to improve my physique for like 4 years, but consistently for 3. And yeah, that's the last bit of advice I'll give you, is just in general, it applies across all 3 of these like weight level trainings, is just consistency. Like consistency is by far the most important like aspect of training in general for both beginners, intermediate and advanced lifters. That's what I found from my training. It's what I found from my research. And yeah, as long as you can keep consistency in mind, you really can't go too far wrong. But yeah, hopefully some of these lifting techniques and like tips helped you and, you know, were valuable to you. Let me know down in the comments what level of lifting you think you're at, or what level you want to get to. And yeah, if you agree with me or disagree with me, whatever. Yeah, thank you so much for getting this far into the video. It's a bit of a longer one today. I've been recording for half an hour now, which is quite long for me. So yeah, bro, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.